Hello, it is the Trading Captain, and I'm currently sitting down at $23.20. So, as you can see here, only 4 trades today, 2 losers, 2 winners, although if I'm being honest, this was more of a break-even trade, so realistically, I would actually say that I only had 2 losers and 1 winner today, so really only 33% accuracy, so not that good. So, what happened today? So, we had a couple stocks. So, JZXN was the first one I was really looking at. We saw here that this one had a huge move up. It was a Chinese stock though, so I was a bit hesitant to get in. And unfortunately, I probably chose one of the worst times to get in, which was during this pullback, because we weren't really seeing much of a pullback during this leg up. But unfortunately, by this point, the move was already over. There was a couple red flags that I saw for this too. First of all, we had this topping tail, very clear signal. Second of all, if we go ahead and switch here to the 5-minute, you can see that we are quite extended even after this pullback. So logically, it would make sense that maybe we'd pull back a bit more. And unfortunately, it just didn't really end up working out. We sold off pretty hard. There was quite a big seller on the selling pressure here on the way down. Another stock that I did trade was BCRX. This one had news. It ended up resuming higher, gave back the entire move. But I felt that this move down was a bit unjustified, so I did capture for a bounce and did get a bounce back up. So nice win on that one. That was the one win I had. So for NIVF, this was one where I thought it was a 1 million share float. That's what it said on Thinkorswim and Lightspeed, but the level 2 was very thickly traded. I realized that afterward, but at the time I was thinking this was a lower float, and I was looking at the high volume and thinking, okay, this is a good float rotation. This has good potential. And so I actually, again, my timing was not very good today. I bought here for this curl back up, and this was right at the start of this massive leg down. Now, I did end up selling here at around this little bounce area here. I did not expect it to recover, unfortunately, and it did end up fully rolling over and even went negative on the day. So glad I got out when I did. At least I was able to cut the losses down from what it could have been. And unfortunately, the reality was today, there wasn't a lot of great moves that had opportunity. We had, of course, we did have JZNX, as I mentioned earlier, but this was a Chinese stock. There were some headwinds with it too, and it didn't feel that safe to me. So by the time I was even willing to try and engage it with a pullback, it was already over, unfortunately. So going into the recap for this week, one thing I'm really watching for is how my accuracy did this week, because I had 3 red days this week. I was on a 10-day green streak, so for me to swap that heavily could indicate that something has changed either with the market or the way I'm approaching trades. So I'm going to go ahead and review some of this week and maybe even last week just to see what I was doing different, if anything, and how the market has responded differently, if it has. So if that's something you guys are interested in seeing, let me know and maybe I'll make a video on it. Otherwise, I'll probably just review it myself. But with that said, that pretty much wraps up the recap. If you like what you saw here, please do leave a like, helps me out. And I will be back next week for the next live stream. Take care, everybody.